Today, I will continue sharing with you an emotional story about the journey of LyTuDiep and CEO James. In the previous episode, Diep brought a surprising piece of good news when she announced that she was pregnant. That moment filled James with overwhelming happiness, a joy that burst forth after so many days of anticipation. Even though they are now expecting their own child, both of them still pour all their love and care into little Nee, the sweet girl they have always cherished as their own daughter. Not wanting her to ever feel left out, James and Diep have been taking care of every meal, every sleep, and were excitedly preparing for her very first day at school. The image of their small family gathered together in the morning, James gently feeding Nee each spoonful of rice, while Diep smiled happily watching her daughter chatter away, painted a simple yet heartwarming picture. Behind all that, James never forgot to take special care of Diep during her pregnancy, always paying attention to every small detail to make sure both mother and child stayed healthy. Day by day, their family bond grew stronger. Those little joys of everyday life, those seemingly ordinary moments, became a powerful source of motivation for the three of them to hold hands and move forward together. Yet ahead, their journey still holds many challenges and unexpected twists. Will Diep and James be strong enough to protect this complete happiness? And how will little Nee grow up in the embrace of their love? Join us in today's story to discover the next surprising and emotional developments. That morning, the atmosphere in James and Diep's little home was far more lively than usual. The first rays of dawn streamed through the window, lighting up every corner and making the whole house shimmer. James had woken up very early, determined to prepare carefully for his daughter's special day. Diep couldn't sleep much either. The whole night she had been restless, torn between worry and excitement, because today was the day little Nee officially stepped into her very first classroom. On the small bed, Nee had already been awake for a while, her round eyes shining with anticipation. She quickly jumped down and ran to her mother, eager to put on the brand new uniform that Diep had carefully washed and ironed the night before. The soft blue and white dress wrapped around her petite figure, highlighting her innocence and purity. Her new shoes gleamed, making cheerful clacking sounds with every tiny step. On her shoulders, a cute pink backpack bounced with each movement, filled with books and school supplies that James and Diep had lovingly prepared. Nee clutched the colorful pencil case her mother had bought her yesterday, her eyes sparkling as if she were holding the whole world in her hands. She turned to her father proudly, "Daddy, today I'll draw so many beautiful pictures for my teacher and friends to see." James only smiled tenderly, gently patting her head, his heart brimming with pride and joy. Together, the family walked to a small breakfast shop near the school. The morning streets were busy yet peaceful, rows of trees swaying in the breeze as if to share in Nee's big day. At the shop, the three of them chose a small table by the window. James ordered their usual dishes, while Diep softly helped her daughter settle into her seat. Nee chattered away while eating, sometimes asking eagerly, "Mommy, will I have lots of friends?" Or, "Daddy, don't forget to pick me up this afternoon, okay?" James chuckled, his gentle gaze filled with love for his little world. Diep sat beside them, always ready to wipe away a drop of milk or a crumb of bread left on her daughter's lips. Watching Nee's innocent smile, Diep felt her heart warm with strength, as if she was being given the courage to continue her journey of motherhood. After breakfast, James drove the family to school. At the gate, Nee suddenly grew quiet, her steps slowing. She squeezed her mother's hand tightly, her wide eyes darting nervously around the unfamiliar surroundings. But only moments later, when the school bell rang, she gathered her courage and politely bowed to greet her teachers. That simple gesture filled James and Diep with pride and emotion. Just before entering class, Nee turned around and dashed back to hug both her parents tightly. Her voice rang clear and earnest, "Please don't forget to pick me up this afternoon." James bent down, embracing his daughter as if he wanted to hold on to that moment forever. Beside him, Diep's eyes shimmered with tears, not of sadness, but of pure joy and deep emotion. In that instant, the couple looked at each other, their hearts swelling with a feeling too profound to name. They both understood that today was not only the start of a new journey for little Nee, but also a turning point in their own lives as parents. From here on, responsibilities would grow heavier, love would run deeper, and their family's happiness would only become stronger. After dropping little Nee off at her classroom, James and Diep quietly walked back to the car. The road from the school to the hospital wasn't long, yet for the couple, it felt endless. Neither of them spoke much, only the steady hum of the engine blended with the rhythm of their anxious hearts. Every so often, James glanced at Diep, his eyes gentle yet tinged with tension. Diep answered with a faint smile, though her heart was also pounding with anticipation. Both knew this would be an important day, a milestone in their journey as parents. When the car stopped at the hospital gate, James quickly stepped out, went around to open the door, and gently helped Diep down. He wouldn't let her walk alone, not even for a few steps. The hospital that morning was crowded yet orderly. Bright white lights, guiding signboards, and the faint smell of antiseptic in the air all added to the solemn and expectant atmosphere. Diep sat down on the waiting bench outside the examination room, her hand instinctively tightening around James's. Her slender fingers trembled, as if seeking an anchor. James held her hand firmly, his steady gaze saying what words could not, that he was here, always by her side, for both her and the baby. When Diep's name was called, James rose and walked in with her. In the cool, brightly lit ultrasound room, the soft whirring of machines filled the air as blurred yet sacred images appeared on the screen. The baby's heartbeat echoed steadily, each beat striking directly into their hearts. James leaned forward, eyes wide, unwilling to miss even the smallest detail. Diep lay still, listening intently, her eyes stinging with tears of emotion. A moment of silence passed before the doctor looked up with a warm smile. His voice was calm yet clear. "Congratulations, it's a boy. The baby is developing very well, strong heartbeat, healthy weight and length, all within the standard range." Those words lit up the room like a burst of sunlight. James and Diep turned to each other, their eyes glowing with indescribable joy. James squeezed his wife's hand tightly, afraid the happiness might slip away if he let go. Tears sparkled on their faces, a mix of surprise and gratitude. All the worries of the past weeks dissolved, leaving behind only pure love and eager anticipation for the future. When they stepped out of the room, James couldn't contain his overflowing emotions. He immediately pulled out his phone and called his mother. His voice trembled with excitement, like a child who had just received the greatest gift of his life. "Mom, it's a boy, a boy. Both Diep and the baby are healthy." On the other end, his mother's voice broke with joy. She laughed through her tears, unable to hold back her happiness. "That's wonderful, my son. Oh, finally, our family will have a grandson. Take good care of Diep, alright? I'll prepare some nourishing food for her." Poor girl, carrying the baby while still managing everything so well. Hearing his mother's words made James's heart soar even higher. He looked at Diep with eyes brimming with love, pride, and gratitude. Diep gently placed her hands on her belly, her lips curving into a soft smile. A deep sense of peace rose within her, as if all her worries had been soothed. Her heart was overflowing with happiness, knowing that the little boy inside her was growing each day, surrounded by the embrace of a loving family. When James called to share the news that his wife was pregnant with a baby boy, his mother was overwhelmed with joy. She had been sitting on the porch picking vegetables when her hand suddenly froze, trembling ever so slightly. A wave of indescribable happiness welled up inside her as she kept murmuring to herself, "Oh, how fortunate we are. Heaven has truly blessed this family." A grandson, and both mother and child are healthy, what a blessing. She couldn't sit still any longer. Filled with excitement, she paced back and forth in the yard, feeling she had to do something right away to share this happiness with her children and grandchildren. Soon after, she picked up her basket and headed to the market. The familiar road felt shorter than ever in her eagerness. At the bustling morning stalls, she carefully chose everything. At the poultry stand, she picked out 2 plump silky chickens with shiny black feathers, knowing they were a precious tonic for pregnant women. Then she went to an old herbal medicine shop, clearly naming each ingredient for the chicken soup she planned to make for Diep. She reminded the seller to select only fresh herbs, with the right dosage, because she wanted her daughter-in-law to be cared for as though she were her own daughter. She didn't stop there. At a store for maternity products, she picked the best boxes of milk, along with nutritious biscuits and some dried fruits, so Diep could stay energized and healthy throughout her pregnancy. In her mind, everything had to be thorough and precise, because she believed that only if Diep was well cared for could the baby boy grow up strong and healthy. As she passed a children's clothing stall, her eyes lingered. Suddenly, she thought of little Nee, the sweet girl who always chirped happily around her. She remembered how the child would run playfully across the yard, and the sparkle in her eyes whenever she was given a new dress. Her heart softened. Nee might not be her blood grandchild, but ever since James had brought her home, she had treated the girl as family. So she stopped, choosing a pale pink dress with soft fabric and fine stitching, picturing Nee's rosy cheeks glowing with joy as she wore it. Then, as if remembering something, she turned toward the toy stall. After browsing for a while, she picked out a box of crayons filled with bright colors. She thought, when Nee returned from school, this would be her gift, a reminder that she was deeply loved, that in this family's eyes she was still their little princess, never left out or forgotten. Carrying the basket now heavy with love, she returned home. Laying everything on the table, she sat beside Diep. Her aged but warm hands clasped her daughter-in-law's, her eyes full of tenderness as she said, "You've been working so hard, Diep. From now on, you must eat well so that my grandson will be born strong and healthy. And as for little Nee, I love her dearly too. She must always feel fully cherished, so she'll know she's still this family's little princess." Hearing those words, Diep could no longer hold back her tears. She threw her arms around her mother-in-law, her heart overflowing with gratitude. She knew well that everything the older woman did came not only from the duty of a mother-in-law, but from the genuine warmth of a mother and grandmother. In that moment, Diep felt deeply blessed to be embraced by such love, where both she and Nee were treated equally, cherished, and treasured as true family. After the joyful prenatal checkup, James didn't head straight home. Instead, he decided to stop by the company to personally inspect the pomelo orchard, which was entering a crucial stage in preparation for the upcoming major harvest for export. On the familiar road leading into the plantation, a light breeze carried the faint fragrance of pomelo blossoms. Rows of lush green trees stretched endlessly to the horizon, creating a scene both majestic and serene. Noon sunlight filtered through the canopy, scattering golden patches of light across the ground. This year's orchard was truly abundant. Clusters of heavy fruits bent the branches low, their glossy green skin glistening. Under the sun, each pomelo shone with a fresh, vibrant hue, signaling a bountiful season ahead. James walked slowly along the narrow dirt paths between the rows, occasionally pausing to cradle a fruit as if it were his own creation. He examined the veins on the peel with care while listening to reports from the agricultural engineers accompanying him. His questions focused on sweetness levels, cultivation methods, and post-harvest preservation standards. No detail was too small, because James knew each exported shipment carried the company's reputation and honor. At that moment, a familiar voice called out from afar. CFO Hung, a longtime friend and key business partner, approached with a bright smile, extending his hand for a firm handshake. "James, I heard you're expecting a son. Congratulations to your family. Such wonderful news, everyone at the company must be thrilled as well." James smiled warmly, his eyes shimmering with happiness. With heartfelt gratitude, he replied, "Thank you, Hung. This is truly the greatest blessing of my life. With a new member joining the family, I feel even more motivated to work harder." The two strolled together among the verdant pomelo trees, their conversation first revolving around work, harvest schedules, product grading plans, and potential new export markets. Hung shared his years of experience in the field, while James listened intently, absorbing every word. Soon, however, their talk shifted to more personal matters. James recounted the joy of taking little Nee to school that morning, and the radiant look on Diep's face when the doctor revealed the baby was a boy. Hung nodded thoughtfully, then burst into hearty laughter, patting James's shoulder. "You're truly a lucky man. A thriving career, a loving family, and now a son on the way. Life doesn't get more complete than that." The orchard was filled with a light-hearted atmosphere. Their laughter blended with the rustling leaves and the cheerful songs of birds perched high above. It painted a picture both warm and vibrant. In that moment, James felt an overwhelming sense of peace. Behind him was a home overflowing with love, and before him stood a steadily growing career. These were the two pillars that gave him strength, readying him to face the long road ahead with confidence. While James was busy at work checking the pomelo orchard, Diep returned home on a sunny afternoon. The sky was a deep blue, dotted with slow-drifting white clouds, and the breeze carried the fresh scent of the countryside, blending with the cool fragrance of her garden. After changing into simple, comfortable clothes, she stepped into the backyard, where the banana trees, nurtured for months, were now heavy with ripened fruit. Golden bunches of bananas hung low, each plump and fragrant, filling the garden with sweetness. Under the afternoon sun, their golden skins gleamed as if coated with honey. Diep gazed up at them, her eyes glowing with delight. To her, this was not only the fruit of labor, but also a quiet pride, each bunch a testament to her care, her effort, and the love of a woman dedicated to her family. Carefully, she cut down a ripe bunch, lowering it gently with all the tenderness in her hands. Carrying the bananas on her shoulder, she walked through the garden, feeling a lightness in her heart. She could already picture the evening meal, little Nee's joy when she saw the bright yellow bananas, her tiny hands eagerly peeling the skin while laughing between bites, James sitting nearby with his gentle smile, his eyes brimming with happiness as he watched his wife and child. Just imagining it melted away Diep's fatigue, leaving only a warm glow in her chest. When the garden work was done, she went back inside, washed her hands, and changed into a neat outfit. She carefully arranged the freshly picked bananas in the kitchen corner, ready for the evening meal. Outside, the sound of rustling wind and chirping sparrows seemed to remind her it was time to pick up her daughter. On the familiar path to school, her steps quickened. Her heart raced, as excited as it had been that very morning when she dropped Nee off. The scenery bathed in golden twilight, banana leaves swaying, bamboo groves whispering in the breeze, seemed to share in her joy. At the school gate, before she could even call out, Nee spotted her from afar. The girl shouted gleefully and dashed toward her mother with a radiant smile. Her short hair flew in the wind, her cheeks flushed pink under the setting sun. In her hands, she clutched a new notebook, proudly raising it up. "Mommy, today I drew a flower, and the teacher praised me for it." Diep paused for a heartbeat, then bent down to scoop her daughter into her arms. She kissed the little head still warm with sunshine, feeling the quick rhythm of her child's joyous heartbeat. Nee's eyes sparkled with innocent pride, while Diep's eyes welled with deep emotion. Gently patting her daughter's back, she smiled. Wonderful, my sweet girl. In that moment, Diep realized that no matter how many challenges life might hold, moments like these, a golden afternoon, a ripe bunch of bananas, and her daughter's innocent smile, made everything worthwhile. In the evening, the family's small kitchen was filled with the comforting aroma of home. On the simple dinner table lay only a few familiar dishes: vegetable soup, braised fish, and a plate of golden ripe bananas that Diep had picked that afternoon, yet the warmth was undeniable. The three of them sat close together, the gentle clinking of bowls and chopsticks echoing like a familiar melody. James carefully placed food into his wife's bowl, his voice tender with concern. You must eat more, so both you and the baby will stay healthy. Diep nodded with a gentle smile. As she ate, she peeled bananas for Nee, placing each piece carefully into a small bowl. Nee's eyes sparkled with excitement as she nibbled, her voice cheerful as she chattered about her day at school. Today I made 2 new friends. The teacher asked me to draw a flower, and she even praised me, Mommy. Her bright little voice filled the room with joy. James listened with pride, then began sharing stories of the orchard that morning, how the pomelos were ripening beautifully, and how the company was preparing a shipment for export. His words brimmed with passion, his eyes shining with a vision of the future. Diep sat quietly, watching her husband and daughter. Her heart swelled with happiness. All the hardships seemed to melt away, leaving only a simple, precious peace. In the final scene, beneath the soft glow of a warm yellow lamp, the three of them sat side by side, their laughter echoing through the little house. A long day had ended, not with luxury or noise, but with completeness and love. That night, as a gentle breeze carried the faint fragrance of pomelo blossoms from the garden, their hearts grew even closer. They might not be wealthy yet, but the love and trust they shared were already more than enough. For James, every day coming home was a new source of motivation. For Diep, each family meal was a gift of peace. And for little Nee, every smile and every embrace was the brightest sky of a happy childhood. The story of James, Diep, and Nee is far from over. Ahead, there will surely be challenges and daily struggles, but also countless sweet, laughter-filled moments. Will this little family overcome every storm to protect their happiness? And what new changes will the joy of welcoming a baby bring to their lives? Stay tuned for the next episode to witness more moving and unexpected moments in the journey of building a home for James, Diep, and Nee. And don't forget to leave your warm wishes for this little family in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss what comes next.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người tập tiếp theo của câu chuyện về mẹ đơn thân Lý Tử Diệp, về Lý Tử Diệp và CEO James. Mọi người thân đưa cái gối kẻ. Có cần thêm gối bé cho thằng kia không chị? Sơn ơi, vợ tính thay cái đấy bằng cái hộp kẻ kia, mà cái hộp kẻ kia ở dưới nó bị nhão quá. Cái kẻ đó mà nó không có cái đáy.
Mệt mỏi chứ không đêm thôi.
Tôi đang quay video 1 phút cuối nối đuôi ấy, từ nãy đến giờ thôi. Xin chào tất cả mọi người, cho mọi người xem video vui vẻ. Tạm biệt mọi người, hẹn gặp lại ở trong những video sau. Bye bye.